February 3rd, 2020. The afternoon started like any other at the Adrenaline video game arcade in Uriep in Mexico. Located in a working-class neighborhood, the arcade was a gathering spot for local teenagers and young adults seeking an escape from the violence that had gripped Michoacan state. At 3:15 p.m., the arcade hummed with activity, as approximately 20 people played games and socialized. 3 men in dark clothing entered through the front door. Witnesses would later describe them as wearing tactical vests, bearing the initials CJNG, the Jalisco New Generation Cartel. Without warning, they drew .45 caliber handguns and AK-47 rifles, demanding to know if anyone belonged to rival cartels. Before anyone could respond, they opened fire. The first victims were two 12-year-old boys playing near the entrance. The high-velocity rounds tore through their small bodies, causing catastrophic internal damage. Medical examiners later found that one boy had 5 separate entry wounds, including one that severed his spinal cord at the base of the skull. Despite this devastating injury, his heart continued beating for nearly 40 seconds as blood flooded his lungs. A 14-year-old girl tried to find an arcade cabinet. Camera footage showed her down, eyes wide with terror. 3 bullets struck her in the abdomen and chest. She remained conscious through the attack, clutching her wounds as blood soaked her uniform. She died from hemorrhagic shock before emergency services arrived. The gunman methodically moved through the arcade, firing over 65 rounds in less than 2 minutes. The bullets shattered glass, penetrated metal cabinets, and struck 9 people. Among them, a 17-year-old cashier who was shot in the face as he attempted to call police from behind the counter. First responders arrived to find bodies slumped over gaming controls, some still clutching joysticks in a macabre tableau. Blood pooled beneath the flashing screens that continued to play animations, oblivious to the massacre that had just occurred. Fish Arcade Betrayal. On April 21, 2018, a routine shift at the Fishzilla arcade in Salisbury, North Carolina turned deadly. Davis, a 45-year-old arcade attendant, had been working at the establishment for just over 3 months. The Fishzilla was one of many fish game arcades that operate in legal gray areas throughout the state, offering casino-style gambling through colorful underwater-themed video games. At approximately 9:17 p.m., surveillance cameras captured Dedrick Michelle Mason entering the arcade. The 26-year-old woman appeared agitated, pacing near the entrance before approaching Davis at the counter. Words were exchanged, their conversation growing increasingly heated. Witnesses later testified that the argument concerned money Mason believed she had won earlier that day. What began as a verbal confrontation quickly escalated. Mason suddenly reached into her purse and pulled out a .38 caliber revolver. Davis raised his hands, backing away from the counter. The security footage showed a moment of hesitation, a split second where Davis appeared to recognize what was about to happen. The first shot struck Davis in the abdomen, just below his ribcage. The hollow point bullet expanded on impact, tearing through his liver and part of his small intestine before lodging near his spine. Davis collapsed behind the counter, conscious and in shock. Mason fired a second time, the bullet grazing Davis's shoulder before embedding in the wall. Patrons scattered in panic. Mason fled the scene as Davis lay bleeding on the arcade floor. First responders arrived within minutes, finding Davis still conscious but struggling to breathe as blood filled his abdominal cavity. Paramedics worked frantically to stabilize him, applying pressure bandages and administering intravenous fluids to combat the rapidly developing hypovolemia.
In the playoffs, you need to find that extra gear. The betting is live. And
are you looking to register your business using an address other than your home? Wouldn't it be great?
During the ambulance ride, repeatedly asking medics if he was going to die. At Novant Health Rowan Medical Center, surgeons operated for over 5 hours to repair the extensive internal damage. Despite their efforts, Davis's condition deteriorated throughout the night. His organs, deprived of adequate blood flow for too long, began to fail one by one. At 6:23 a.m. the following morning, James Christopher Davis was pronounced dead. Crystal Beach